figuring it out. Bam! Okay. So now you can just go to the website, click on at what point you either showed up late or had to leave. There I am. Also, all these slides are available. So if you learn better by not writing and just focused on what we're talking about, great. I don't require you to take notes. If you rather do that, though, I know I used to have a history professor who taught us that there's a little brain in your finger. That's the brain that needs to learn. And the way it learns is by writing it. And it works for me. It works for me. If it works for you, great. I invite you to write this stuff down. If it doesn't, then don't. All the stuff is available when you're taking exams in here. It's all open note, open book. And you can take tests multiple times. I'm not saying it's an easy class, but it's an easy class. And it doesn't bother me to say that. Just meet me halfway, you'll do fine. Okay. We are now learning about a group of sociologists. We will visit this group throughout the semester. They're called functionalists. Functionalists are sociologists that fill in the blanks to this sentence. There's a good reason for blank. It's blank. There's a good reason families exist. And here they are. Later on in this class, it's kind of easy to think of why do families exist and come up with good reasons. Wait till we get to racism and functionalists saying there's a good reason racism exists. Wait till we get to sexism. There's a good reason that societies make females second-class citizens. There's a good reason why people in India don't eat cows. Any of you know that cows are sacred in some parts of the world? Okay, and they put it in language of religious belief, or if any of you are Catholic and observe during Lent or Advent the not eating of meat, maybe some of you do that. A functionalist would say, yeah, there's the religious reason for that, but there's another more tangible reason. There was a meat shortage in Europe. And so to conserve the meat, the church said, let's not eat meat once a week. And they conserved their meat supply. Do you know why they don't eat cows in India? Because there's a meat shortage in India. So they conserve their meat supply. There's a good reason for racism. We'll have to explore that one when we get to it. Okay? So right now, what I want you to do is just think about why families? Why did our species decide, you know what? We should create systems where mother marries father and then they have children and then they stick together. There's an alternate universe right now. I don't know if you ever heard this theory, but do you know that movies are actually a series of pictures, one after the another, right? Movies are just a series of pictures and one picture after another. But what if that's life? What if life is like that? And you and I live in this picture, and now we're in this picture, and now we're in this picture, right? One picture after another. That's your life, right? One picture after another. But what about this universe? They're just slightly off from our universe. Did you know that you're mostly empty space? You're mostly empty space. You are protons and neutrons with electrons swinging around proportionally more distant from the center of that atom than Jupiter is to the sun. So you are proportionately more empty than our solar system. Hypothetically, one of you could right now turn around and run through that wall, and every single one of your atoms would miss every single one of the wall's atoms. Give it a shot. I'm not gonna. But theoretically, it would work like once. But the thing is, the electrons are going so fast that they're going to crash into the wall and it won't work. But anyway, there's that alternate universe. Right now, there's another universe right here. But it's just slightly off from our series of pictures. And in that, what was the point of this? Oh, yeah. And in that universe, there are no families. Instead, the state takes all babies and raises them like the military. Okay, but we've decided not to do that. We've decided, families, that's the way to go. There must be a reason. What I'd like to know is, can you come up with a reason or two? Just go ahead and jot it down. The reason families exist. What do they provide? I'll give you a minute. Think about your own family. What do you get out of it? Think categorically. Are there physical needs? Are there emotional needs? Are there financial needs? Are there areas that you get out of your family that you don't get anywhere else? I love all of you, but I'm not going to do what your mom or dad would do. It's just a different role. Like what? You stumped? What I'm going to invite you to do is once you have 2 or 3, or maybe you're stuck, that's fine. Just chat with a neighbor about needs that are fulfilled by a family. Maybe it's your family, and maybe it isn't, right? But in a typical family, here's what is provided. See if you two together can come up with 3 or 4 areas that are provided, needs are provided by the family unit, as opposed to the military. The military is a fine organization, but it does not provide what families provide. What do families provide that are not provided in other sorts of organizations? All right, so go ahead and chat with a neighbor or a group of 3, that's fine too. See if you can come up with some consensus. Go. Don't be afraid of chatting with your neighbor. Join them. Join them. Get out of your desk and join them. They won't bite.
So also, like this.
Yeah, and I said it was too much money for them to spend on this.
I agree. And I also think it's more like tailored care.
Yeah. Because it'd be more like a system, like all the government.
Give you another 30 seconds. Then we're going to chat as a larger group.
It's specifically tailored to you instead of like the government. Like you said, it's like factory. Yeah, I guess that's it. I kind of wrote that down. Like mental
5,
stability.
4, 3, 2, 1, time. Okay, within your group, will you please elect a president? Who is your leader? Leader, will you indicate you are the leader of your little nation? Are you the leader? Balake is the leader. Leader. We need a leader. 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 All right, leader. Appoint your spokesman. Appoint your spokesman. Okay, spokesman, you elected someone else leader. Spokesman, you're speaking on behalf of the group. Okay? By the way, I believe this is the first time that I've sort of done this sort of thing where I said, all right, discuss. Very impressed. What I heard was you were all on task. We'll do that often. If you can show me you can stay on task, we will do this sort of thing often, but meet me halfway. All right. So right now what we're doing is, spokesman, you are reporting about 1 or 2 things that families provide that aren't necessarily provided as well by other organizations like schools or the military or a business organization. What do you get out of families that just aren't quite there in other types of organizations? We'll start over there. 1 or 2.
diversity and emotional support.
What do you mean diversity? I don't know what that means.
When you're raised as a family, you follow like their traditions, but if you're raised by the military, everyone is raised the same.
So, just sort of beliefs that your mom and dad want you to perpetuate. And then what was the second one?
Emotional support.
Emotional support, right? Some famous sociologist calls families the soft place to land. Your family should be the soft place to land. You had a rotten day, your teacher yelled at you, your boss yelled at you. Your family has to accept you. They have to open the door and say, right? Even Harry's aunt and uncle didn't like the guy, but at least they gave him the bedroom under the stairs, right? At least they gave him that. Okay, very good. Thank you. Next group, right here.
I wrote both financial support and emotional support.
Very good. The financial one is new. Okay. You know, I'm big fans of all you, but I'm not paying for your college. Sorry. No, I'm not giving you $20 so you can go to the movie. I'm not going to do that. I'll give it to Noah, although he needs to get a job. Very good though. Financial support, right? Excellent.
We said like tailored care.
What does that mean?
It's more individualized, like you get to become who you want to be. Whereas with the government, you just be like, all right, you're all going to be the same.
Very good.
And then we also said like financial support, and they just pay for things.
Right? I mean, how many of you have to buy your own clothes? All of your own clothes. Okay, well, you're ready for life. Okay, for the rest of us, you know, I still help my daughter. She's a freshman. I gave her $100 and they went shopping with their aunt, right? And they had a great old time, right? That financial support. But I like that other one. For many of us, now again, I understand that some of us in the school have rotten home lives. It's accepted, it's a given. But for many of us, mom and dad support you in your desire to be an artist, or they're fully supportive of your desire to, I know Jack's thinking about joining the military and joining the Air Force Academy. That's awesome. By the way, should I have not said that? You're fine? Okay. He's thinking about joining the Air Force, which is awesome, right? Right? You mind me asking, are your parents on board with that? Fully supportive? Awesome, right? My parents, I can remember growing up and they kept giving me the suggestion, nah, you want to be a lawyer. You want to be a lawyer. But here I am, right? So when I made the decision, I really don't want to be a lawyer, right? And I told my mom and dad, 100% supportive, right, of my decision. Which, by the way, my dad was a teacher for 35 years. My mom was a teacher for 30 years. What do you think, right? I grew up in a family. My wife's a teacher. My sister-in-law's a teacher. My other sister-in-law's a teacher. My other sister-in-law's a teacher. My brother-in-law's a teacher. Teachers. Yeah. What do you think we talk about at Christmas? You. Okay. Very good. More. Did you come up with something that we haven't heard yet?
I mean, yeah,
What?
You get love and
Love.
support.
Very good. Love and support. Okay. We kind of just chatted about that. Exactly. Very good. How about this group right over here? Suppose.
Well, going last, we don't really have anything to.
Nothing new? Okay, that's fine. That happens. How about Dalton? Come up with anything? Okay, good. These are all correct. It's your family that perpetuates religious beliefs mostly, right? Whatever religion you are, it's probably the same as your mom and dad. Now that's not always the case. Sometimes it's I'm this religion because my parents aren't, right? It's the rejection of religion. Sometimes your dad is the way he is because his dad wasn't. I can tell you that in my family, my grandpa was a phenomenal athlete. He is in the Minnesota Hall of Fame, and you know the athlete. Grandpa Potter was the last high school player in the state of Minnesota to not wear a helmet playing football. There's this awesome picture that we have, and he was running back. He's carrying the ball, and he's about to crash heads with the defending player, and the defending player's got those old leather helmets on, but not Grandpa, bareheaded. He didn't remember a lot. But anyway, great athlete. But I once, when a 10-year-old with my own father asked him, did you ever play with your dad? Did you ever play with your dad? Never. And that was an aha moment for me, because my family, when I grew up, my house was where the friends came. We always went to my house. And then we played pickup basketball, and my dad always played with us. And, Jeff was there, and John, and Steve, and all right, who gets Dennis's dad? And he played right with us. And the guy was deaf. My parents are both deaf. And it was completely normal. And, sometimes I'd be like, okay, Dad, we're going to go over here. You go pay the bills now. No, let's play sorry or whatever, right? And it's the smothering. And I think what was going on there was he was smothering me because he didn't get anything from his dad. So we've got a role reversal, right? Sometimes you hear, well, I hit my kids because my dad hit me. But sometimes it's the opposite. I don't hit my kids because my dad hit me. Right? Reject what was going on. Okay? Very good. All of these things, thank you. All of these things a functionalist would say is the reason why families exist. To give you that financial support, to give you that soft place to land, to feed you, clothe you, house you. The basic needs are provided by the family. That's what a functionalist is. Okay? Any questions here? I don't have anything to show you. We just had the discussion. You kind of get it. Moving on. Now there's another group. There's another group of sociologists that say, yeah, fine, well, and dandy, your parents provide you with food and clothing and shelter and love and all that, but families also are a source of conflict. Statistically, this is true. I'm not trying to depress any of you, but statistically, most murders are within a family. Right? The likelihood that you are going to be murdered by a stranger in some deep, dark alley is incredibly small. Statistically, though, if murder takes place, it's probably dad murdering wife, husband murdering wife after getting drunk. And it was unintentional. It was a moment, right? It was a moment of passion. The diagramming, this is what I'm going to do first, and then plan it all out. All right, phase one is no. It was that moment, you lost it, and bam, something off of that, right? This group of sociologists are called conflict sociologists, and they point out some depressing things about the American family. And this is where we have to be grown-ups here and put on our big boy pants and say that sometimes in this class, we're going to deal with some heavy stuff. We are going to deal with some heavy stuff. And in this class, it has happened where one of you is like, I can't handle this. Can I go? And can I go talk to someone? Counselor? And of course, the answer is going to be, of course. But we are going to be talking about heavy stuff in here. Okay? So be ready. Just and handle it. Okay? For example, child abuse. Well, of course that happens within a family. Right? I don't go to my neighbor's house and say, yeah, can I borrow your 3-year-old for a little while? I really need to hit something. Okay, that's what cats are for. Bad joke. This is a depressing pie chart of the age of the typical victim when the authorities become aware of it, because most child abuse is unreported. And look at the biggest piece of pie, right? And how many times have we seen in the newspaper some idiot who beat up his girlfriend's 1-year-old, right? Because the kid would not stop crying, and I'm not armed with the ability to know what to do about it, so I shut it up, right? And how depressing that is, right? All the way up to 17 years of age. Some other things that are perpetuated by families. I can, with a high degree of accuracy, predict if you're going to beat your wife. Just tell me one thing. Did your dad beat up your mom? If your dad beat up your mom, there's a good chance that you'll beat up your wife. And how would I know that? It's because you learn. This is what that's how you treat women. Oh, okay. There's a good chance I'll know if you have racist attitudes. What's your dad say? What's your dad's attitude towards other races? Statistically, there's a very good chance I know your attitude based on your parents' attitude. Well, why? Because you learn it. You learn it. Mom and dad are your first teachers, so you learn these attitudes. And so, in a lot of situations, one of the roles of public education is to get you to unlearn what you've learned from mom and dad. Not always, but sometimes. Sometimes that's our job. Most crime, most murders, most physical abuse situations within a family. Okay? And of course, incest. But that has to be. Incest can only occur within a family, right? Otherwise, it's not incest. It's something else, but it's not incest. Incest is rape within the family. So it has to be within the family. Okay. Something else that you might consider to be true here in Somerset, and that is you got to have the right last name. Oh, did you see who starts for the athletic team? Look at that. Look at their names. No wonder. But I'm part of the black sheep in this town, so I don't even get a fair shot. Is this something that you've ever heard in any form? Right? Of course, she got the lead role in the play. She's the teacher's pet. She's got money. But those of us who don't have money, we don't have the built-in advantages because we're not from the right family. Okay? And I'm not suggesting that it's not true or it is true. I'm just saying the belief is out there. And if you think it's true here, man, go visit some of these other schools. Go visit Stillwater. Holy mackerel, right? The amount of privilege that exists. Or Woodbury. Oh my God. You ever heard of what are called helicopter parents? Is that a term that's familiar with anyone in here? Helicopter parents? My sister-in-law teaches in Woodbury, and she teaches 3rd grade. And a helicopter parent is someone who smothers their kid, never lets them on their own, smothers the kid. They're always around. They're always around, like a helicopter that goes around and around and around, right? And they just smother their kid. Well, that's part of this privilege. What are you going to do to make sure my kid becomes a millionaire someday? What are you, school, going to do? Well, your kid can't read. Well, then what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it, school? Or whatever, right? Any questions here? So throughout this class, we will visit the functionalist view of why blank exists, and then we will visit the conflict view of why blank exists. So what does blank provide as far as conflict? And a conflict view is sort of depressing, but it's big boy stuff. And these are things that are true in the American family that aren't the best. Okay. One slide left. Any questions before we go on? Nothing to write down here. What I would like you to do is back of notebook time, right? So every once in a while we reflect and just think about you. So back of your notebooks, please. And I just want you to listen to the prompt I'm giving you. And then I want you to just kind of write about it. And I don't need complete sentences. If you'd rather write kind of bullets, great. So what we have up here is a question. And the question is, within your family, who are you? Who are you? And don't say, I'm Bill. No, you're missing the point. What's your role? Are you the scapegoat? Is everything your fault? So your mom comes down to breakfast one day and there's a broken dish. Does she immediately assume it's you? Are you the scapegoat? Are you the lost child? Do you get home immediately and go to your room and shut the door? Hold your head shut. And then you're on Netflix the rest of the night. Right? You don't interact with anybody. Is that you? Are you the lost child? Are you the team mascot? Are you the kid that says, all right, let's play Monopoly? And you get everyone out. Come on now, family time. And that's you. You're the glue. You're the glue of the family. You have a good connection with mom or dad and brother and sister, and they're all connected to you. So you're the one that gets them connected to each other. Is that you? Okay. And then some other things here. Are you the family hero? You're the good kid. No, you're the one who gets the good grades. And mom or dad says to the rest of the family, why can't you be more like Jimmy? Are you Jimmy? Okay. Who are you? So, do you understand? I'm just asking within your family, how do you see yourself? Be interesting to bring the rest of your family in and then ask them, well, how do you see them? And do the match. Okay. So 2 minutes. Who are you? Within your family. Who are you? Try. I will be happy to share who I saw me as within my family when I was growing up. But I'll it doesn't have to be exhaustive. Just answer the question. You can be done. If you'd like to know, be happy to share me. I was the smart kid. So I got the good grades, and I know my parents would sometimes tell my younger brother, "Did you getting the grades that he's getting?" Right? I graduated number 2 in my high school class. Here I am. Anyway, and I was the good kid. I was in every sport possible. I was always trying to I did not ever want to risk, because I had the potential to wrestle in college. So I was a pretty good wrestler, average football player, terrible golfer. But I was on the golf team, right? We were horrendously bad golf team. So I was the number 2 on the golf team. On one hole one time, I got a 25. And back then, you wrote 25. That was your score. Today, there's a max cap, right? X, exactly. Yeah, 25. And I was on the green in 5. And I putted 18 times, which if you're good at math, gives me a 23. I then threw my putter, like finally on putt number 18, it goes in from this far out, right? Threw my putter, looked at, because in golf, you keep score for the other team, right? So I looked at the guy from Lesueur and said, 23. And he says, "Well, I'm giving you a 2-stroke penalty because you threw your putter." And I said, "Okay." Anyway, so partying, never. I never drank in high school. I never smoked in I did not want to take the risk because I got a future in wrestling in college. Now, if you want to know, my wrestling career in college lasted 3 weeks, and I was getting beat up every day by the varsity. And I would limp home every day and sit down and say, "Okay, now I have to study." It was bad. So I didn't last. Anyway, okay. Does anyone want to share? Keeping in mind that if you are sharing, that the rest of us in this room, there's about 18 of us in here, will not go straight to lunch and say, "Oh my God, you should have heard what Catherine said. Oh, put your seatbelts on." And then roaring laughter at that table. What an idiot. Nope. If it's tucked about in here, it stays in here. It stays in here. Okay? Which is kind of ironic because I got it videotaped. Huh. Maybe I should turn this off for a sec. Okay. Recording device off. Anyone want to share? Good.
I'm kind of like the lost child, but I have a lot going on. So I kind of take on a lot of the other roles as well because my brothers are 10, 15 years older than me. So like I'm probably an only child, but I'm not an only child. So I kind of have a mix of roles.
Very good. They say that if there's about 5 years between you and an older or younger brother, you take on the role of oldest child because the gap is that big. Right? Very good. Anyone else?
I feel like I'm everything from an only child.
Only child, right? So you have that only child syndrome, right? You don't have to answer this, and actually don't answer this, but do you find that your parents smother you, spoil you? Sometimes that happens in only child things, right? They live vicariously through you, right? They want you to go out for the volleyball team because they were bad at volleyball, so they want you to be what they want. Or they want you to go out for the play because I sucked as an actress, but through you, I could be a good actress again. I'm not you, mom, or whatever. Okay. Anyone else? Did you hand up? No? Very good. Okay. That's enough of that. Back on. And we're live. All right. Let's you can take a minute break. Okay, stand, stretch, do some yoga, whatever, while I get the next step.
Yeah, the shock.
I'm gonna call my own. So you got some problems with your property. Yeah, I'm gonna put some weed plants.
T E R I.
Oh, I got it.
That's all I got.
P-H-E-R-A-L.
T.
I put like 2 F's, so you know. Oh, I'm so
We'll resume when the big hand is on the 2. So you have another minute. So if you need to like do some jumping jacks or run out and get a breath of fresh air, go get a quick drink. Great. Or are we raring to go? How's our new schedule coming along? Are we okay? Are we floating? Okay. Once we get into it, I think you'll find, and I think I'll find that it's good. It's all good. And did someone just join this class? Like you did. Okay. Welcome. So at some point, you and I should kind of sit down and get you joining Google Classroom. Okay, let's attack document number 5. Who had, you need this. Who had document number 5? Does anyone else need a new copy? Which is totally fine. I have plenty. We're looking at the under God documents. Anyone else need a new copy? No. Let me ask before we begin talking about this. How many of you stood and said the pledge this morning? Did anyone not? Did anyone exercise their constitutional right and not say the pledge? Did any of you say it but didn't say the words? There's different opinions about that. So I know we used to have a teacher here who you will stand and you will face the flag during that. And others who said, well, this is America. You have the right to not say the pledge. Interestingly enough, it's sort of linked to the NFL. So are you aware that some NFL players have chosen to, during the national anthem, kneel? And one of them is a guy by the name of Colin Kaepernick. And he just was named the spokesman of Nike. Like, wow. Specifically because of his choice to protest. He's protesting police brutality. That's a whole other topic that we will address in here. Police brutality. Is it as bad as some people claim, or sometimes the police justified? That's a whole other thing. But he has chosen NFL games to voice his displeasure with what he perceives to be police brutality toward African Americans. And he used to play quarterback, and he's not with any NFL team now. Nobody signed him. And there's this opinion out there that, well, the reason nobody signed him is because he's kind of a pain. Not that he's not a good NFL quarterback. He was in the Super Bowl just a few years ago. He's not a bad quarterback. He's just sort of annoying. So we're not going to sign him. And now Nike has just named him their spokesman, which is That's kind of a big deal. Okay, anyway, back to this. Let's get through document 5 and document 8, and then let's see how we're doing that. So, who had document 5? Yeah, you did, right? Okay, which document is document 5?
Document 2.
I understand why you said that, because it's the second document. Let's just go with 5.
Okay.
It's document 5. All right, and who is our speaker?
The Claremont Institute.
Very good. So I'm glad you said that. That is correct. Please note, organizations can be speakers. There's not some person named Claremont Institute. That is an organization. Who is the Claremont Institute?
They're an organization whose mission is to restore the principles of the American founding to their rightful preeminent authority.
Okay, whatever the crap that means, right? So there's some organization that is interested in the words under God. Now, we still don't know whether they think the word should be removed or not. We don't know that yet. Were you able to figure it out?
Kinda.
Kind of. Do they think the word should be removed or not?
No.
They should be left alone.
Yeah.
Okay. You're right.
Okay.
Very good. So allow me to read it, and then we can kind of all think about what is being said here. So it says, the addition of the words under God to the pledge and the school district's policy and practice of teacher-led recitation of the pledge do not violate the Establishment Clause. So if I were to say to you, let's say I'm arguing against you and you are the Claremont Institute, and I say to you, hey, you can't include the words under God, violates the Constitution, violates the separation between church and state. Okay, Claremont Institute, what's your response? It doesn't have to be complex. It violates the Constitution. Your response? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It does not violate the Constitution. The Constitution has something called the Establishment Clause. The Establishment Clause says this. So here's the First Amendment. Congress shall not establish an official religion. That's what it says. Congress shall not establish an official religion. Do the words under God mean that Congress has just established an official religion? No. That's not what that means, according to the Claremont Institute. Congress isn't establishing an official religion. There's no official Catholic religion or Christian religion. It's the words under and then the word God. Muslims can say it. Atheists can say it. When an atheist stands up and says, I pledge allegiance to one nation under God, God doesn't open up a hole in the sky and strike down with lightning all atheists. Wait a minute, you don't believe in me? Don't you dare say that word. Right? Nothing happens. Nothing happens. According to the Claremont Institute. Okay. So let's reveal. So we've got document 5. It's the Claremont Institute. Why is that annoying green thing in the way? It's a nonprofit organization, blah, blah, blah. Leave it alone. The quote I have for the Claremont Institute one starts with the word to and goes to institutions. It is the last sentence. Let's look at the last sentence. It says, to hold that the Constitution prohibits the state or school district from allowing the recitation of a pledge that acknowledges the existence of God would ignore the history and intent of the First Amendment and would undermine the efforts of states to foster the kind of moral virtue the founders thought essential to the perpetuation of Republican institutions. And if you wonder, what did I just say? I just said the words under God do not violate the Constitution. It does not violate the Constitution. It doesn't violate the Constitution is what that should say, but it's being blocked by document. No, there we go. No, it doesn't. It does not violate the Constitution. There's no official religion. It's simply an acknowledgement of, as far as the nation is concerned, of the existence of God. You don't have to believe it. Don't believe it. Go ahead. Don't believe it. Is the argument being made by the Claremont Institute. Okay. Now, as far as example is concerned, we'll save that. So you can just leave that blank for now. Let's go over one more document, and then we'll call it a day. So it's document 8. Who had document 8? 1, 2, 3, and 4 of you. Holy cow. How come you were the only one who had document 8? 4 of you. Okay. So which document is document 8? On a roll. And who's our speaker of document 8? Michael Newdow. And who is Michael? Who else had this one? Who is Michael Newdow?
He was a doctor that formed the First Amendment Church of True Science.
Very good. He founded his own religion, which, by the way, all of you have the right to do. Go ahead. Oh, excuse me for a second. Hello? I do. Bye. And that was caught on tape. Gage, counseling on. What'd you do? Anyway, document 8. Michael Newdow started his own religion. By the way, we are not done with Michael Newdow. We are going to revisit Michael Newdow. He's a player. Right. Did you read it? What do you think? Should the words be removed or not, according to Michael Newdow?
Yeah.
Yeah. Remove them. Remove them. The question is why? Let me read this, and then I will open it up to anyone who thinks you know what he's saying, right? So this is Michael Newdow talking. The First Amendment. I'm going to pause there. What do you think his argument's going to be?
Because it
Violates the Constitution. It violates the Constitution? Yes, it does. So 1 minute ago, I was sitting here, saying, no, it doesn't. And now I put on a new outfit. Michael Newdow. Yes, it does. It does too violate the Constitution, says Michael Newdow. Okay, remember, this isn't me. This is Michael, or the other one, the Claremont Institute. You don't know what I think. The First Amendment states, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. As I understand it, this resulted from the framers' awareness of the persecution and animosity that inevitably accompanies state religions. With this in mind, they made the decision to ensure religious freedom by keeping the government out of that sensitive area. Personally, I think it was a good idea, and even if I didn't, it's one of the fundamental rules of our society. Thus, when I see the Pledge of Allegiance containing the words under God, I see a gross violation of one of the most foremost constitutional mandates. Is he right? Should the words be removed? Yep. Why? Repeat here. Go ahead.
Because it violates the freedom of religion.
Yes. Yes, it does. It does too violate the First Amendment guarantee of freedom of religion. You are told, think about the setting here. Think about the setting that I'm describing. We all stand up in unison and we say the same words while doing certain things with our hands. Where are you? Or are you? Okay, no, that's great. Or are you in a church? Because that's what they do. They all stand, they all put their hands in certain positions, and they all say the same words facing a certain thing. But wait a minute, that's what you do in a public school. We all, because of our leader, is it a priest or is it the principal or Hunter? Who was it this morning? Was it Hunty? It was Hunty, and he did a fine job. We all face the same way. We do certain things. It's a ceremony. That's religion, says Michael Newdow. It is religion, and because it's religion, and this is everyone's welcome. And yet, we all have to stand and say this word, God? Michael won't have it. Oh, no, no, no. Michael doesn't like it. And by the way, Michael is the guy to the Supreme Court. That tells you that some judge along the way listened to Michael and said, you're right. That's the only way it makes it to the Supreme Court, is if someone said, you got a point. And it made it all the way to the Supreme Court. And we don't know what the Supreme Court said, or do you? We'll save that for another day. Okay. Any questions? Let's call it a day. So you have 5 minutes to chill. And we're out.
Is it here? It's here.